Bolivia is a landlocked mountainous country located in the central portion of South America, neighboring Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, and Brazil. The capital of Bolivia is La Paz, but the most populous city is Santa Cruz de la Sierra. Bolivia is more rural than urban, with many plains and plateaus scattered across the country. The main features of Bolivia's geography include the Altiplano, a highland plateau of the Andes, and Lake Titicaca, the highest navigable lake on Earth. The Andes run right through the center of Bolivia, and the highest peak is Nevado Sejama. Bolivia, also known as Upper Peru, was taken under the power of Spain in 1538. They peacefully stayed under the Spanish rule until small uprisings started in the 1700s, but wasn't until 1809 that rebels started gaining success. The reason the push for Bolivian independence grew was because the Iberian Peninsula was invaded in 1807 and French kings were placed on the Spanish and Portuguese thrones. This formed the government junta, a type of government that was formed as a patriotic alternative to the Spanish colonial government. Some peninsulares remained faithful to the Spanish state and decided to wait and see what would happen, while others supported the type of monarchy Brazil would eventually have, a king and queen from the Iberian Peninsula who declared themselves independent rulers of a Latin American country. Radical Creoles, men of European descent born in Latin America, wanted complete independence from Spain. There was then a power struggle in Bolivia, in which the Audiencia of Bolivia was split on whether to follow the junta or demand independence. The president of the Audiencia, Ramon Garcia León de Pizarro, wanted to stick with the junta, while the judges of the Audiencia were persuaded to not follow the junta because their leader was the product of a revolution. On May 25, 1809, radical Creoles, who also didn't recognize the power of the junta, took to the streets because they wanted independence. The first revolution that originated in the cities La Paz and Chuquisaca was quickly put down by authorities. Even so, after the independence revolt, Spain had never had a full control of Bolivia because it became a place where troops from Peru and Argentina were fighting. Some important figures in the Bolivian Revolution were Pedro Domingo Murillo, who led a revolt of Creoles and Mestizos on July 16, 1809. Simón Bolívar, who officially liberated Bolivia on August 6, 1825, and then had the country named after him. And Marshal Antonio José de Sucre, who led the army in 825 that finally won Bolivia's independence with the help of Bolivian Creoles that defected from the royalist government. The defectors came to Sucre and Bolivar saying that the Bolivians should be able to self-govern and that they needed freedom. The Bolivian Revolution was heavily influenced by the ideals of the time and period it took place in. The Bolivian Revolution took place during the era of Enlightenment. The Enlightenment emphasized reason and individualism rather than tradition, and it caused many people to rethink how things were done, including religion and ways of governing. This notion of change gradually spread throughout Europe and eventually across the Atlantic into Latin America, where many native South Americans were being ruled by European imperialists. Enlightenment ideas were appealing to the people because they proclaimed that man was free and all that was equal. These ideas were important, especially in countries where slavery existed and in countries under the control of foreign powers, including Bolivia. The Enlightenment had started revolutions before. A major example of this was the French Revolution, which was the major event contributing to Bolivia gaining their independence. The French Revolution was the event that started their push towards freedom. When the French revolted, one of the leaders that took control of the country was Napoleon. Napoleon then went on to take over a lot of countries surrounding France, including Spain. He placed his own family on the Spanish throne, which led to some people in the Spanish colonies to grow wary. This led to a full-scale revolution in many Latin American countries because Latin American leaders saw Spain's opportunity to reject foreign domination and demand independence from colonial rule so that they did the same within their own countries. This caused many revolutions and the death of many, although they eventually did gain all their freedom. Once they had their freedom, the American Revolution led to an extremely important advance in them keeping their independence. Once America was free of British rule, they created their own government, and that government was produced the Monroe Doctrine that ensured that once a Latin American colony gained their independence, the U.S. would protect it. Out of all the Andean countries, Bolivia is the one country to maintain most of their culture from the indigenous people. That being said, Bolivia was influenced by many European countries, including Spain. One example of influence on Bolivia is through food. Bolivian food mostly consists of three major food products native to Bolivia: beans, potatoes, and corn, combined with food products that the Spanish brought: rice, wheat, beef, pork, and chicken. One of the most popular Bolivian dishes is arroz con queso, or rice with cheese. Today, Bolivia is a big exporter of natural gases, but is one of the least developed countries in Latin America. Bolivia had a huge economic crisis in the early 1980s that led to an unstable economy until 2005, when the president put higher royalties on hydrocarbons. Bolivia is a republic, but in their constitution, Bolivia is defined as a social unitarian state. The country has had 17 constitutions in the past, with the most recent one being implemented in 2009 by their president, Evo Morales. The current racial makeup of Bolivia is 30% are Quechua, an indigenous group that speak the Quechuan language. 30% are Mestizo, people from mixed European and Latin American descent. They mostly speak Spanish. 25% are Aymara, a group of indigenous to the Andes. They used to speak Aymarian, but now speak Spanish. And 15% are white, people of European descent, and they speak Spanish. Some of the hierarchies present in modern-day Bolivia are: indigenous people and women are much less likely to have the same education opportunities as the upperclassmen. Therefore, most of them are illiterate. Whites are at the top of the social structure for socioeconomic reasons, not necessarily because of skin color, but because of Latin America's history. People that were white were presented with the best education and job opportunities, so it most likely factors in. The upper class are called the elite. They are rich and live in nice neighborhoods. Most of the white population is an elite. The indigenous people are the lowest on the social ladder because the same opportunities presented to white or mixed people are not presented to them. Bolivia was without its independence for a long time, about 287 years, and while the country was liberated and now rules itself, there are many more advances that need to be made in order to create a country of equal opportunity.